Okay.
Top the table.
It's also live in the SCS site now. Okay, guys, thank you very much for coming. Right, today we're fortunate to have Cecilia. Cecilia and I have been friends for a long time, since we were kids, I guess.
Younger, no grey hair those days.
We were colleagues in a company called Andersen Consulting, right? But since then, I think both of us have moved on to different things. Cecilia is always my go-to person, right? Whenever there is issues or brainstorming, right? Cecilia is a fantastic facilitator, right? In my first startup, she actually helped us dream out where we should be and quite well because of that. Today, Cecilia is actually very involved in the area of innovation, right? So I thought it would be quite interesting for her to share with us, what she has been doing, and perhaps her thought on innovation, specifically actually, if possible, with a young startup slant, right? Because the target is actually more startups. Okay. But then again, innovation is such a huge topic now, right? I think anybody will benefit from really your perspective. Okay. So without further ado, thank you very much, Cecilia.
Okay, thanks, Chuck. When Chuck called me, right, I think a couple of things. So first, I'm going to put a disclaimer. All of you out there, you're the ones who make ideas a reality. So those who can't do something else, they either teach or consult, and that's me. But I thought what I would do when Chuck spoke to me is my exposure to the area of innovation has been primarily how do you design and create, I'm going to call conversations. Because till you have that diverse conversations, you don't know where some of these ideas are going to come from. So that's where I'm going to be coming from. And I thought before I start anything, everybody feels like they can do with some beer.
Anytime.
Sure?
Yeah.
All right, let's do that. So I'm going to ask you to watch this. And yell out if something is striking you out of this.
Beer comes out from the ground.
Beer comes up from the ground. What else strikes you? Huh? Sorry? No payment, okay. Free beer. Beer coming from the bottom. What else is striking you?
They're only taking two.
They're only taking two. Oh, wow. What else? Gentlemen and ladies, what else strikes you? I'm just going to pause it. Nope. All right. What hit you? So the beer is coming from the bottom.
How do you hold the beer?
How do you hold the beer, right? Anybody has gone to a beer joint that serves beer like this? I also found it rather interesting. It feels like it was in an office setting. Can you see the office furniture behind? Right?
Yeah. Now it's mentioning
Now
operational efficiency.
Correct. Right? Somewhere, right? Behind. It is like an office setting. What the heck are they doing with the beer?
It's an expo.
Huh?
It's a conference.
I think it's extreme global.
Sorry?
Extreme global.
Extreme. Well, they're actually trying it out at this point in time to see if they could come out with a machine like that and take it out to market, right? So they were trying to come up with an idea whereby I think there are a few dimensions they were trying. Less spillage, the foam. Are you beer drinkers or not beer drinkers? Yeah.
No, actually, research.
Foam, right? That's typical of any beer, right? The foam will come to spillage, wastage, right? Speed. So is there a company that actually does this? So let me just play you this video.
How does the bottoms-up system work? A bottoms-up cup has a hole in the bottom with a metal ring around it. It is sealed with a magnet. These magnets are FDA approved and can be printed with any advertisement in order to generate revenue, provide a coupon, and even souvenirs for your customers. When placed on bottoms-up dispenser, the nozzle post securely lifts the magnet away from the cup. The dispenser automatically fills the cup to a pre-programmed amount, leaving the server free to multitask by checking IDs, getting food orders, or completing transactions. Once the cup is full, it can stay on the dispenser until the server is ready to remove it. This automated pour is highly effective in reducing wasted beer by eliminating operator error and excessive foam. The system works with any one of our 5 sizes of disposable cups, glass pints, plastic pints, 32 and 64 ounce pitchers. In short, Bottoms up drastically increases revenue from beer sales and creates happier customers with faster service and souvenir magnets.
So it became a business, right? So I'm using this as an example because I think it's an interesting thing. What base assumptions do we constantly challenge, right? We often look at beer serving from the top, right? So the question about innovation often is, where do we question all the base assumptions, and therefore, how would that really, I'm going to call tangentially, offshoot where the opportunities are? So how do we do that? Now, in my experience, a large part of it is to challenge clients, whether they be, and in my experience, I have to declare it's a large part with more larger organizations, is to where do they find these ideas and how do they therefore grow it? And what we do is we give them a frame. So I'm going to give you a couple of things to think about. So first, I always like to talk about challenging assumptions. So if you're not the sort to challenge things, it's going to be, you're going to be falling with the standard rules, right? So I always say these things, sometimes wisdom just locks us in and it really stops us thinking about something different. And I always talk about that we do need diversity. Okay? Why do companies or why do things out there really challenge or have difficulties thinking about things differently? I think one way to look at it is this: over time, whether it be companies or whether it be businesses or whether it be us as individuals, right? We do run the difficulty of seeing new patterns. Because we get used to things and we become very good at what we do, right? So the question is, how do we look and find the opportunities for new patterns, right? So where do we do that? So I'm going to share with you really what we call certain frames that will help us look at where the possibilities of innovation are. So in my area of work, leaders often say, I have a problem, I have a solution. What frame do I need to look at the problem? Somebody spotted, right? In the backdrop, there was some operational efficiency. The usual frame that leaders typically look at is, give me an idea about how to deal with optimization. Give me an idea about how to deal with maximization. Give me an idea of how to deal with sustainability, right? But I think if we begin to look at innovation, then can we look at how opportunities of innovation can occur, and therefore my point and one word I'm going to introduce to you is, how do we begin to reperceive things? And if we do that, then the outcomes get changed and the process changes as well. So I'm going to give you a framework. I'm a framework person. I'm going to share a bit of stories around this. So there are 4 ways that we typically push people to use to think about where these ideas can come from. So I'm going to go through it and share some possibilities in terms of stories, and then we'll take it from there. By the way, at any point in time, please interrupt me, ask questions, make a comment. I'm quite happy with that. So I'm going to start with insight. If you look at any industry, any company, there are certain things that they're very good at. I don't think you all would disagree, right? That's what they're there for. But often what happens is we ask themselves, what is the purpose? Now, if they really think hard and revisit that question of what purpose, of why are they in existence, sometimes they come up with quite different answers. So I'm going to give you an example. Education. We all either have gone through it ourselves or we have children in education, right? What is education's purpose? Should I'm asking, right? What is education's purpose?
The institutional creation of the workforce.
Wow, very chim. Can we have a less chim answer?
That's the CFE answer.
That's a CFE, correct. Oh, this one, the teacher will give A+. All right. What else? What is the education for?
Disciplining of the mind.
Disciplining of the minds, training. What else? Some will say get the grades, pass, finish curriculum, right? But if someone gave an answer, is education to impact lives? Then the question of impacting life can give you different pathways, right? What do we mean by impacting life? What kind of lives do we impact? How do we impact lives? And with that questioning mindset, you now begin to revisit what your purpose is, therefore where your problems are, and therefore what new ideas you can come up with. Same, it's just asking back fundamental question of what is your purpose? Now, I will tell you honestly, not many people like this approach because you're questioning very fundamental things that are within your organization. But if we take this approach, many organizations have been able to see things with a different perspective. All right, so try that. The next time you go anywhere, you just say, what's your purpose? And then ask a few times around and see if they could come up with something quite radically different. And that is your pathway to innovation. Okay? So I'm going to take that. Outside. You know, I'm going to call the world outside of your own space becomes your play field for innovation. So, I'm going to use, hope you don't mind, Colin. You and I have worked in healthcare for the long time. We just talked about it, maybe about now 30 years since we last worked together.
I'm younger than that.
Yeah?
I'm younger than that.
Okay, all right, we won't disclose it, Colin. But I'm just going to bring out a point, right? I mean, many industries have been here for a long time. Healthcare for one, right? And we often look for this word called best practices. Tell us where the best practice is for this. Tell us where. I'm not saying that's wrong. That's great, right? But sometimes, if you're looking for an idea outside the realm that you're in, maybe it's time to go elsewhere. Not the space, not the place you're most comfortable in. So, for an example, I will take healthcare as the example, right? In healthcare now is such an industry that is beaming with many things that they're trying out. We just talked about it, right? They're casting the seed to have 1,000 flowers bloom so that they can see different kinds of flowers, right? But sometimes in healthcare, maybe going to a different industry may give them insights to what could be interesting, right? So it will open themselves to new possibilities, right? So if you think about it, would a healthcare go to retail to learn something from it? Yes and no, right? Which part of retail could be interesting? So we did. We brought some, actually it was the reverse. We brought some bankers to healthcare. All right, probably scared the daylight of them. But by the way, they came up with quite interesting products, right? Spending a day, we actually send them out not only to go and work in a hospital for a while, but actually for them to go and immerse themselves in the life of the customers. And they came up with interesting products that the financial institution didn't quite have. So that's what outside is. And again, people are uncomfortable because why? The expert mentality will tell you they don't know our industry. The expert mentality will tell you it can't work. The expert mentality will come up with 101 reasons why another industry's perhaps thought, idea, something that they're currently doing will not work in your industry. That is one challenge. But you know what? I always tell my clients after a while, it's no harm borrowing shamelessly. Right? Because when you borrow an idea from down there, you try it out and you see, well, I'm not saying it will definitely work. That's what innovation is about. It may or may not work. Okay. Then we have foresight. So foresight is about the future. Now, when we start talking about future and what the future will be, it's always very fun, right? For me. I love foresight work because there is this whole dream of, I'm going to call possibility, not probability, right? So you can imagine what that is. And I always tell them to stretch the domains into what I'm going to call things that are, you think it's ridiculous, right? Because when you keep pushing those boundaries and you bring it back into your reality, that really works. Now, and then the other thing about foresight, foresight is not literature. Foresight is not just paper. You need to make the foresight become an experience. Only when you become an experience do you begin to say what's possible, what are the dimensions you like, what are the dimensions you're quite fearful of, and then you can shape where the innovation is. So I'm going to give you a few things, and I'll show you a couple of slides afterwards. So if you think about it, right, I'll call out a public one, and they are very clever in making this a reality. Did anybody go for the Make the Future exhibition by Shell? Okay, go. It will come back next year. All right, they have put together this exhibition that is, to me, breathtaking. All right, about, of course, where the future world of energy is, but not in just technical things, but how it relates to lifestyle, right? And they've taken this exhibition across the globe, right? To London, Detroit, and in Asia, Manila and Singapore for the very first time this year. So it comes back next year, go. So why do I bring this up, right? Till we kind of experience a flavor of what this possibility is, we don't know what to ask, we don't know what to comment, we don't know what to fear, and we don't know what to like. So this element of making things emotive is something I'm going to highlight as well. You need to deal with all multiple senses when you start coming out there. And this is part where the business crowd that I deal with often fear, right? But how do you deal with that? Because till you bring that element into conversation, emotions don't come out. Now, Chuck mentioned to bring it alive to kind of startups. If you think about where startups are, if you can think about imagining, I use the word imagining, where the future is, and you can think about where the emotive power levers are, you could be jump-starting something quite different. All right? So that's I'm just introducing the framework. The last one is about insights. Now, with the technology field, they all use a lot of data to get insights. That's great. But I'm going to offer another realm of insights, which is about getting into the shoes of the customer. All right? We all have customers, and we all declare that we know our customers. So I've often, again, gone to companies, and everybody, first thing, maybe not the companies that you know, will give me piles and piles of report about their customer feedback, customer analysis, and then I always ask them, so today is a 3.5, tomorrow is a 3.8. What does it tell you? Happy, not happy, what to do? It's data, of course, then you can slice it. But sometimes finding these interesting customers to go spend a little bit of time with them may give you insights, and I'll share that with you. Okay. So why did I share that framework? So sorry, it's a little bit of a thing, but I think it's important. I think it's important because it allows anybody who's ever interested in this realm of called innovation, that the ideas is not the key thing, it's how you reperceive the problem. So all I've introduced to everybody in this room and beyond is actually tools or frames that helps you reperceive either the problem or the opportunity that you have. Because not many people spend enough of time doing that. Everybody loves coming up with the idea or the solution. So we always tell people, spend time thinking about the reperceived element, because that can lead you to different pathways and ideas that perhaps you don't imagine. Okay? So I mentioned customer insights.